Welcome to episode 130 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. Are you a business owner or executive searching for practical strategies to grow your company? This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business, and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives, but anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. In the previous episode, 129, our guest was Ryan Hogan, discussing pricing your product or service. Today's episode discusses the $1 million leak with Forrest Derr. Based out of Mobile, Alabama, Forrest Derr is the integrator and founder of Derr Consulting, a company that helps businesses optimize operations and significantly increase profits. Let's welcome Forrest Derr. Forrest, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. Forrest, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background in becoming the integrator and founder of Derr Consulting, a company that helps businesses optimize operations and significantly increase profits?
Yeah, so I worked with a couple of different companies as a W-2 employee over the last 30 years. And what I've learned is I really enjoyed the first portion of that part of my career, meaning the first 6, 9, 12 months in a business, in finding areas to improve and finding ways to make the business better. And then once I got the businesses where they needed to be, I kind of got bored doing what I was doing. And so it made sense for me to start doing that as a career, where I would go in and work in businesses for a short period of time, help them get operations where it needs to be, and then exit and go on and find another one that needs help.
Well, this episode's topic is the $1 million leak. How can businesses find these leaks and plug them?
Yeah, the big problem is most companies have blinders on to where those leaks are. And typically where I find them is inefficiencies in the business. So a lot of them are unused resources that they're just not taking advantage of. For example, I had a company that has software, automation software that they used, basically a back office software to manage the business. And they were still doing timekeeping on timesheets, meaning paper timesheets. And this is not something that was 10 years ago. This is something that was this year. So it was definitely recent. And companies that I work with, they just don't realize the software that they have can do so much more. So what we did is we got rid of the paper, set everybody up to use the app that was available already at no expense to them, to tie into the software so that then the employees could log their time, start time and end time, but also log their unproductive time. We call it shop time. And by doing that, we were able to report and know which teams were being efficient and which teams were being inefficient. If you're logging time on a piece of paper, you have no way to track whether somebody's being efficient or inefficient. But just using the existing software has been amazing to plug some of those leaks.
Following up on that and talking about filling things out with paper, what are some of the operational blind spots, especially costly mistakes that leaders overlook until it's too late?
Yeah, one of the big ones I see over and over again, there's a book called Who's Your Mike? By Kurt Wilkin. And I don't know if you've heard of that book before, but that book relates to particularly entrepreneurs where they have somebody in the business that's helped them move the business along when it first got started, maybe the second or third employee. But what ends up happening is the company outgrows that team member. And even though that team member has been there from the beginning, they've been elevated to management and possibly a leadership team role, that person is actually holding them back from success. So I encourage all entrepreneurs, founders that have been running their business, you really got to take a look at your personnel. While you may have loyal people, they may be holding you back, and many times they don't see it. And a lot of times they don't see it till it's too late.
That's really a good point. It's not uncommon to work with people who get you to where you are, but they're not the right people to get you where you need to go.
Where you want to be, yeah.
We're speaking with Forrest Derr, who is the integrator and founder of Derr Consulting, a company that helps businesses optimize operations and significantly increase profits. Businesses are facing a silent thief, stealing upwards of 30% of their revenues right under their noses. Inefficiency, such as misaligned operations, bottlenecks at the top, and a lack of clarity in execution, is significantly eroding profitability, complicating scale, and jeopardizing exit readiness for thousands of businesses across the country. That's exactly where Forrest Derr, a fractional COO, integrator, and operations coach, brings transformative clarity, accountability, and systems excellence. He's committed to helping small and mid-sized business owners regain control, build structure, and scale sustainability. Now, let's get back to the questions. Forrest, what can you do when you have systems in place, but the results are MIA?
Yes, a lot of companies have the systems or have some systems in place, but they are not measuring the systems. And so one of the first things I do when I start pulling a business apart and understanding how they're operating is talk to them about their scorecard metrics or KPIs. And a lot of companies I talk to, they think about cash flow or think about top line revenue. Those are not going to help you really steer the business. And so what we've got to do is build out a structure where they have significant detailed numbers that they can know productivity of manpower, productivity of existing resources, how many sales presentations are being made. So you have to have the scorecard data to be able to manage and steer the ship.
Forrest, how can entrepreneurs build a team that delivers without being micromanaged?
That's a big question. It's a challenge that owners really want to have their hands in the business and have their hands deep in the business. And so there's two things that I've used effectively in organizations. One is to make sure you have an accountability structure within the business. So everybody needs to know what their roles and responsibilities are and who they report to. And it still surprises me to this day going in and working in a business that's $14-15 million. And I'll ask people who they report to, and I'll get different answers for who people report to. So that accountability structure is huge, but really the other part of it is the delegation. So not only accountability and knowing who does what, but leaders need to effectively delegate tasks. So many times I find leaders, especially mid-level managers, they think they have to do everything. They think they need to work 60 hours a week. But when they can take a step back and look at the things that their team is accountable for, they need to delegate those things and let those team members thrive.
That was one of the hardest things for me was delegation until I started doing it. And then it got real easy. I got to the point to where we hired A players, gave them the tools to do their job, and got out of their way. Checked in, obviously.
Yep. And that goes back into that accountability. You build that accountability and understanding, and then you delegate and get out of the way.
Exactly. What results or lessons learned have you seen with businesses and individuals that have implemented your recommendations?
Yeah, one of the big things that I've heard from particularly founders, founder-led organization, which is mostly what I work with as a founder-led organization, is that their phones ring off the hook. Trying to just sit in the meeting, especially with them for the first couple of months, it's crazy how many phone calls they get. And the majority of the phone calls are not from customers saying they want to buy something or not from some big sales deal. They're from a team member that can't make a decision. And so when we implement the accountability, implement the delegate, I had a visionary founder of a business. We're sitting in a meeting with him. It was a regular weekly meeting, and one of the things we do was share good news. And he said, I was in a meeting for 3 hours and my phone did not ring one time. He said, 3 months ago, my phone was ringing off the hook, and now people have been empowered to make decisions, and therefore I can actually do what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's probably one of the biggest impacts that I've seen.
That's a great success story. We're speaking with Forrest Derr, who's the integrator and founder of Derr Consulting. Forrest, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think one of the things I have seen in talking to founders, founder-led businesses, is they think they have to do it all their own, or they think they have to hire some very high-priced chief operating officer. And the way I've positioned what I do is I've positioned it as a fractional business. So I go in and work maybe one day a week with a business for a period of time to get those processes and procedures in place. And it really is not something that's out of touch or out of reach, even for a smaller business that's $2 or $3 million in annual revenue. So founders out there, you don't have to do it on your own. There are people out there in the marketplace who can help you.
How can people get in contact with you, Forrest?
Yeah, you can visit me on Derr Consulting, DERR consulting.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Forrest Derr, 2 R's for both names, Forrest. Last name's DERR.
Thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business, Forrest.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
My sincere thanks to Forrest Derr for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Forrest, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. This podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. I'm looking for this podcast to move from an upper mid-tier podcast to a top-tier podcast. Please leave a positive review, let your friends and colleagues know about it, and don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. In the next episode, 131, our guest will be Pete Sacco, discussing success without fulfillment. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.